Hey guys, welcome back to the Watches and Giggles channel. This is Chris from Chicago. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about Rolex supply moving forward in 2020. Is it going to get better? Well, I visited my local AD, had a nice long chat. I was probably there for an hour, and we'll get into it. But before we do that, see what I'm wearing. I have on my BL&R Rolex GMT Master 2 Batman or Batgirl. Definitely the most comfortable watch that I own. It is just a pleasure to wear. Okay, back to the main point. So I went in and visited my local AD. Let's see, it's the 9th today. It was on the 6th. So January 6th, I actually had a little thank you gift to drop off that I wasn't able to do before the holidays. I was under the weather as well as running around. So for the sales manager, that allowed me, as funny as it is, allowed me to spend insane amount of money on this watch and this watch as well. I purchased both of those new from the AD in 2019. So just a little thank you, a nice bottle of red wine, as well as I wanted to find out as much information as I could about supply moving forward into 2020. Is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse? And this story does have a happy ending, so we'll get into that at the end. But basically, when I talked to this sales manager, now granted, the AD that I have is in Chicago, and it is a smaller AD. But moving forward in 2020, the sales manager told me that pretty much any Steel Sports professional model sale will have to be approved by the owner. Yeah, you heard that right. Again, I'm just speaking for what I heard locally through my AD in Chicago, but the sales manager informed me that any Steel Sports professional model, so any pretty much Rolex Submariner, Rolex Explorer 2, obviously Daytona, Hulk, Pepsi, that goes without saying, but pretty much any Steel Sports professional model would have to be approved by the owner for even the sales manager to approve to buy the watch. And so I was like, okay, that's a new one, because it was not that way from what I had known in 2019. It wasn't like that at all. The sales manager was allowed to allocate, a Submariner or an Explorer 2, maybe a Milgauss, an Air King, something along those lines. But apparently in 2020, it has to be approved by the owner of the store for you to purchase this watch, which I thought was a little insane. Then if you've been following my channel, you know I have been trying to get a Hulk. So obviously another ulterior motive into going into the store was to inquire about, hey, am I actually going to get a Hulk? This is when the sales manager dropped the bomb on me, and wait for it, guys. So apparently they get a Hulk in approximately every 8 to 9 months. Yeah, you heard that correctly. So you're not getting to buy a Hulk for the most part unless you're a VIP. So basically they got in one Hulk last year, maybe two, which I find insane. So what does that tell me, or what does that tell us with the Hulk? Well, that's insane. How can it only be 1 to 2 per store a year? That doesn't make any sense. So is the whole Rolex Hulk going to get discontinued? The new one, maybe they'll make, slightly thinner lugs, or maybe they'll discontinue it all the way around. I don't know. They did just give it a $300 price increase here in the US. So I was thinking that it wouldn't get discontinued, but maybe the whole Submariner line is going to get a revamp. I don't know. But that blew me away. And then I asked, well, what do you get Submariner wise? How many of those do you get in? And she told me that the store receives 1 to 2 shipments of watches per month, and they don't know what they're going to get for the most part. But it usually comes out to about one. There will be about one Submariner every month. So that's 12 regular Rolex Submariners, and that goes between the date and the no date version. So, 12. So that's a little better at least, right? Okay, so 12 guys are going to get their Rolex Submariner this year, most likely in 2020. But for the higher demand models, the Daytona, she said, is the same as the Hulk, about 1 a year to 2 a year. The BLNR, the Rolex Batman or Batgirl, comes in greater quantities than the Pepsi. The Pepsi, they only get between 5 and 8 a year, where this are about the same as the Submariner now, from what the information I was getting. It's probably about 1 a month. So that's good news for if you want a Batman, but the Pepsis are, for whatever reason, a little harder to get. So that kind of blew me away, guys. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. If you guys have talked to your local AD, but my AD is telling me pretty much supply is not getting any better for the hot in-demand models. Unless you're a VIP, good luck. Apparently, the sales manager told me I am first on the list for a Hulk, whatever the hell that means. I mean, I'm not holding my breath. I did get good news at the end of the talk. I did get offered, I was looking for a 3-hand watch, just a simple no-date watch. And I did get offered at the end of the conversation a Submariner, no date, an Explorer, or as it's known, Explorer 1, a Milgauss, or an Air King. And I'm going to show you guys what I went with. No, it's not a Pepsi. Bear with me here for a second. It's not that one. It is this one. I went with the Rolex Explorer. If you've been following my channel at all, you know I have owned a Rolex Submariner with the date version, which I stupidly sold it. But considering I am trying to get a Hulk, I thought it would be silly to get the no date Submariner version. So I went with, I think, a timeless beauty. I do have a big wrist. It's not small. It's over 7.5. But from what I hear, this 39mm Explorer wears more like a 40. So I think I'll be okay. And I'm not made of money, guys. I can't buy every single watch. So I like my watches to be able to wear with anything and do anything. And this is a watch, obviously, like the Submariner, that you can. The Milgauss doesn't really do it for me. The Air King, some guys love it, some guys hate it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Also, the Explorer, I like the clasp on it. It has a similar clasp to a GMT clasp, the fold-over extra safety, whereas with a Milgauss and an Air King, you just get the fold-over clasp. You don't get the extra little bonus of that nice little fold-over safety, so someone just can't in the street rip it off you, pretty much. So that's kind of why I chose this watch. And the lugs, guys, it doesn't really have beefy lugs. I obviously am trying to get a Hulk, so I don't hate the beefy lugs, but I think with the Hulk it makes more sense. That's just my personal opinion, as I've owned the Rolex Submariner before, and the lugs can be a little annoying, and I feel this watch is just timeless, elegant, and beautiful. So I'm very excited about that. I will update you guys later if I ever actually do get to put a deposit down on a Hulk. I am not holding my breath anymore, so I'm a little discouraged, but also a very joyous occasion, as I am completing a 3-watch meal deal combo, as another wristwatch guru says, as I'll have the GMT Air, I'll have the Rolex Sea Dweller 50th, and over here, which this guy will get bumped to a different case, I'll have the Land with the Rolex Explorer. So I'm very excited about that. So yeah, that's about it, guys. A little longer video than normal, but had to vent a little bit and get it out. So it looks like supply for your hot watches will not get any better. The normal watches looks like, the regular Steel Sports will be in the same quantity or same shipment as it's always been. But for apparently my local AD, the owner is going to have to approve any Steel Sports Professional model that gets sold, which I think is crazy. Let me know if you guys experienced anything like that or heard of anything like that. But to me, that kind of blew my mind. But guys, thanks so much for tuning in. This is the Watches and Giggles channel. Excuse me, Chris from Chicago, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.